Hello, good evening or night, whichever. This is the Empress Blu-Lotus, Oye Ma'at. And I just wanted to come on here tonight and talk about children returning to school and how it's easier for some to say, oh, it's okay for the children to go to school. But there are much deeper things to start to think about in this situation. I will start off by saying that I do not have children. I do, however, have nieces, nephews, cousins, close friends, adopted family, who have children that have to go to school. And they live in states where the count is extremely high. In my state, we are going up by a couple of hundred a day. And that's not as bad as everyone else, but nevertheless, it's bad. It is easy for someone who could afford to pay for a tutor, nannies, babysitters, all of the things to keep their child safe while you send millions of children back to school. The head of education, Miss Betty, what's it, Betsy DuBois, she did an interview and she said that yes, some children and some teachers will get sick. And it kind of just rolled out of her mouth like a oh well. That's the way I felt when I heard it. Now, she has, I don't think, ever gone to public school. She has children who have never gone to public school. This lady knows nothing about public school. And here she is agreeing with children returning to public school. So go figure. But what I want to talk about myself is children and teachers who may potentially be returning to school, and some things for everybody to think about. Now, please excuse me, I gotta drink some water. Sorry about that. This I got this off of from another. I don't know if it was one of my groups or just one of my friends on timeline on Facebook. But there are some questions that we need to really think about. The first one is, if a teacher tests positive for COVID-19, are they required to quarantine for 2 to 3 weeks? And is there a sick leave covered where they will be paid? And I found out that no, their teachers union does not provide for something like this. And if you look at it this way, if a teacher has 5 classes a day with 30 students each, do all 150 of those students need to stay home and quarantine for 14 days if they are exposed to a teacher or even a fellow student who has tested positive for number 19? Another thing to think about is, do all 150 of those students now have to get tested? Who pays for the testing? Are they happening? Is the test going to happen at school? How are the parents being notified if a teacher does come down with something or another student? And does everyone in each of those kids' family need to get tested? Who will pay for that? That is a good question. Once again, it's a question that nobody seems to have the answer to. The only answer to that question right now is a big no. What if someone who lives in the same home as a teacher tests positive, does that teacher now need to take 14 days off of work to quarantine at the same time? And is that covered? Nobody, as far as being covered, is that paid? Is that paid? Is she going to be paid for that? And, where is the district going to find a substitute teacher who will work in a classroom full of exposed and possibly infected students for substitute pay? I mean, substitutes, they make pretty decent money. I had looked into doing that at one time, but there is no hazard duty pay for substitute. And as if you're filling in that type of situation, that is kind of hazard duty. I hate to say that. Substitutes teach in multiple schools. What if they are diagnosed with the number 19? Do all the kids in each school now have to quarantine and get tested? Who's going to pay for all of that? And here again, these are things that 45 or apparently anybody around him has even thought about. What if a student in your kid's class tests positive? What if a kid tests positive? Wait a minute, repeat my, sorry. What if a student in your kid's class tests positive? Does every other student and the teacher they have been around quarantine? Do we all get notified who is infected and when? Or because of HIPAA regulations, are parents and teachers just going to get mysteriously may have been in contact with emails all year round? How's that going to work? Will it be your child may have been exposed? You know how those emails come out, just like back in the day, in my day, your child may have been exposed to lice, or your child may have been exposed to chickenpox, those type of emails, those type of letters, are those type of things going to go out? Here's another thing to ask. What is the stress going to do to the teachers? How does it affect their health and well-being? How does it affect their ability to teach? How does it affect the quality of the education they are able to provide? What is it going to do to our kids? What are the long-term effects of consistently being stressed out? I know as a teacher, I would be stressed out. And if I were a teacher, I probably would not return to school. Here again, the economy. I know it's a struggle. I know people need babysitters. They need childcare. People need their children in school for economic reasons. But the economy is already bad as it is. So I don't know. When you weigh the pros or cons of these teachers going back to school teaching, as well as the students going back to school, if we look at those pros and cons, what do we really have if we look at it? How will it affect students and faculty when the first teacher in their school dies from this? This first parent of a student who brought the virus home, the first kid, how is this going to affect them? We had the first teacher who passed in our school from 19. We had the first child that died in our school for 19. What kind of effect will that have on them? How, like, for example, when there's school shooters, or for when a student perhaps commits suicide, how they bring in grief counselors for like a week in case the students want to talk. What'll happen if someone that they know in the school does pass away from the virus? What'll happen? And the last thing I just want to ask is how many more people are going to die that otherwise would not have if they had stayed home longer? And once again, this goes back to the economy right now. But what are we really saving? What are we really? I have to catch myself because I really don't know, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm not just speaking from. I have a situation myself, and I can't speak for somebody else's situation. I don't know. I'm sure there are people who just can't afford it. I know small businesses are starting to fold right now, but this is kind of like the new normal for a while. I think we're going to go well into January with this thing. And when we have someone who is running our country into the mud, I feel like he is practically killing us. Oops, I said it. What do we do? What do we do? And what is best for us? Because right now, I don't feel like our best interests is being looked out for. I have said it and will say it. I'm not taking a vaccine. I'm not taking I don't care if they come out with medicine to help this. I don't want it. I already have, like I said, I have two autoimmune diseases and I have asthma. I have been quarantined. I go out to the bank and to the grocery store. That's all I do. And I stay here. And I'm fortunate to be able to do that. And I know everybody can't. Heck, it's a struggle for me right now doing it. But like I said, I know everybody can't. But what are we really doing? What are we really thinking? What are we really saying? I just really would be interested in knowing, you know, how do some people feel about some of the questions that I said and the questions, I'm sorry, that I asked, and just the overall thoughts. Now, I did this live stream initially because I wanted to see if I could do a live stream, not just a test, but a whole live stream. And I've accomplished that. And I also wanted to get this information out because I think they're pretty good questions, excuse me. Oh, that water. But more I think about it, I kind of wish I did have a few people who popped on here just so, because I am interested in knowing how people feel about this. I know El Teddy, and I think really B, our teachers. I'm not. I definitely know El Teddy, but I actually would like to get their point of view on it and how they feel about it. You know, somebody who's really involved, who really has something to say, other than somebody like me who can ask a million questions and put forth a whole bunch of different viewpoints. And I'm not in those shoes. I'm not walking in those shoes. I'm not a parent. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a school custodian. I'm not a secretary in the school office. I'm not a principal, counselor. I'm not any of the things that has anything to do with school. But I am interested in what the people who are those things in the school, I am very interested in how they feel. Because to me, it hurts my heart. to know that someone is kind of faced with some hard decisions about their child going to school. It really does. It really hurts. So I guess that I am done right now. I don't think that there was anything else that came about that struck my interest in the virus. And please, nobody be under the impression like the guy who is running the country with the his thing is, if we stop testing, the numbers will go down. Now, I don't know how many years of college he had to come up with an answer like that, but that's a bunch of bull. Of course they'll go down because nobody's being tested. Duh. But and also, who has had family members with it, with the who's caught it or has even just been. Oh wow. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but just as I was getting ready to get off, people have come on. And how are you guys doing? This live was about people who have children going back to school, and I just read a whole bunch of questions that that I had for officials who think that children are ready to go back to school. And where are my questions? I lost them that fast. How many does anybody who has children? Because when I started this, I said I don't have children, but I do have nieces and cousins and everything that will be going back to school or that have to worry about going back to school. And I feel bad for anybody who has to make that decision. I'm going to ask just because I'm curious. I'm going to ask a question or some of these questions. And one of the questions I ask is, what if a student in your kid's class tests positive? What if your kid tests positive? Does every other student and teacher they have been around quarantine? Do we all get notified if that person is infected? Or because of HIPAA regulations, are parents and teachers just going to have to mysteriously get those emails, the ones where, oh, your child may have been exposed to lice, or your child may have been exposed to chicken pox, one of those kind of letters that you get. So that was one of the questions I asked. And one of the first questions I asked is that if a teacher tests positive for COVID, are they required to quarantine for 2 to 3 weeks? And is their sick leave covered with pay? And I had found out already that the union didn't provide for that in some states. Let's see. Another interesting one was the one about the substitute teachers. Where is that one? Yeah, okay. And substitute teachers teach in multiple schools. What if they are diagnosed with number 19? Do all the kids in each school now have to quarantine and get tested? And who is going to pay for that? Okay, Sean, and thank you for joining. Your son, the senior, last one going to college, which is different. Oh, okay, yeah. And hey, Nurse Vaughn, I haven't seen you in forever. You know what? Now, see, Miss Sean, your son going off to college. Now, see how I haven't even gotten to college yet. How about college? What's going on with college? Is that going to start, right away, or is it going to be a delay in that? Trees like life. Yes. And is that Gia? Gia Love Tutu? See, these are questions. It was a whole bunch of questions. I got them off of Facebook, and they were very interesting questions. And I don't see where I don't see where anybody has thought of these questions. If I were a teacher, I would not make the decision. I wouldn't go back. I would take leave. They would have to get rid of me because your life. And another thing that I had asked is about grief counseling. If someone, how like if there's a school shooting or if a child passes away or commits suicide, how they have those counselors up at the school for a week. Would that be the case when the if a teacher dies of number 19, or if a student dies of number 19? Is that the case? Will that happen then? Your son. Oh, your nephew will go Zoom at the door. And see, something, a lot of Zoom could be used for a lot of things. And I want to stay on subject, but I'm just going to go off a teeny bit. Church, that well, I'm gonna say my sister is a Jehovah Witness, right? And ever since probably this happened, before it really got big, they started doing their services through Zoom. And it just boggles my mind, how are these other ministers continue to go to church and have church. And I was like, have they not thought about having through Zoom satellite from their home or something? I didn't understand that, because there are some decisions that people are making that they don't make any sense. And I could just go on and on about some of the stuff I've seen on my timeline. But yeah, that's the way I just wanted to deviate for that for a minute about the churches and stuff like that. Um in sport, okay, so I wonder about something else too. What about sports, college and sports as well? Because you have some people who are attending college on sports scholarships. Wonder how that's going to work out. Yeah, that's wow. And also, there are students in high school right now who were counting on an athletic scholarship to get to college. What happens with that? Oh, it's Gaia, not Gaia. Sorry. Thanks for letting me know, though, so I get it right. Graduate nurse Vaughn. Oh, wow. Well, wait a minute. All right. Wait, nurse Vaughn. Let me read this. If I could share, the numbers are exaggerated. Many of my fellow nurses have tested unused swabs and they came back positive. We had nurses here sitting in hotels collecting paychecks. Well, wait a minute. How is that possible? How do you, but could, okay, they could, mm, yeah, I'm a conspiracy theorist too, so I'm trying to figure this one out. An unused swab coming back positive. Hmm, I don't know. That's, that's very interesting. I gotta think on that one, Nurse Vaughn. Mm. And you know what, Gaia, that I had said that about, him and a lot of his cronies, they can afford nannies, babysitters, send them to what's that place they send people to? Well, I mean, they have, when you have money in this situation, you have options, and you can do things with your children that the average person cannot. And I'm gonna tell you something else too, and this is just my opinion. I believe that 45, I honestly do believe that he Oh my gosh, how long have I been muted? Oh, that is so embarrassing. Now, did y'all hear me ask the question? Is Bill Gates in jail? I thought Bill Gates was in jail, and he owns the patent to the coronavirus. You know what? The more our world starts to go to shambles, the more you find out about people who have money. These people with money, you just find out the worst. Yeah, that patent thing, I read that like a couple months ago about Bill Gates and that patent thing. I thought, what is he in jail for? He got arrested for something, I thought. I would I would Google it, but I'm afraid I might mess my setup up, so I don't want to touch nothing. Well, wait a minute. No, let me look right quick. Uh, why are people calling? Okay, people want him. This is a okay, April. People wanted him arrested. This was back in April. I don't know what I can't I don't like this due to go to jail. Okay. Wow. Now that's something that happened in Mexico. Wow, this man's just been getting arrested. That's something that's a whole nother story to be done. This man's been getting arrested and uh looks like he's been trying to do some stuff in Africa. As far oh, I gotta look into that because yeah. All I know is when I go out, I just try to do the best that I can do to be unmasked. If I when I go to the store, the grocery store, I wipe down the carts. But they have at first they were doing it for us. You know, you take it in and they wipe it all down. Now they're not doing it, but they will. They have like the whole big old thing of disinfectant wipes up there. They have hand sanitizers, just everything as soon as you go in the store. And I do that when I go there. And the bank, I don't get out the car. And then at the I go to the pharmacy. I have to get out the car because my friend refuses to do the drive-through. So, but I try to stay as safe as possible. What? Well, what? So what? But if they're from the fetus, Nurse Vaughn, what can they do? How does that? I don't understand that. How can you? And you know something? We need to quit. We just need to quit. Sometimes we are advanced enough. You know, we need to just quit with all this. Taking that's a shame. That is truly a shame. Yeah, people are doing too much. They're doing the most. Let me see if him. What's her name? Margaret. Let's see if they. Okay, say his father. Hmm. This man had. I'm gonna do a video. I'm gonna do a Bill Gates video. I'm gonna do a Bill Gates video because this is. I just keep googling and finding stuff, and now I'm on his father, Eugene. Oh my goodness, Nurse Vaughn. I need Nurse Vaughn email me. We gotta do something about this. This is crazy. It says if you are in doubt, you may Google Bill Gates, vaccines, abortions and population control in Nigeria to ascertain the veracity of my assertions. So yeah, he was over there doing draw funding for abortions. Donald Trump is up in here. Let me save this. I gotta save this. Okay, my first live, and I'm sitting up here doing research on a live. Okay, this is crazy, but I think my next video is gonna be on Bill Gates because he got a lot going on. I don't, yeah, Gaia, I don't know. It, wow. Yeah, I do want to see. I am going to look into this further because it's a lot going on surrounding him and forced sterilizations and the Catholic Church. I don't know why was this man in Nigeria messing with the Nigerians? I don't there is a lot going on. People and their money. And this goes back to the virus. You know, when you people with money, whole other a whole other agenda. They're in a whole other stratosphere, and that's what I think was in Jada's live today when we were talking about um, when we were talking about Republicans, Democrats, Republicans. Republicans with money. They don't have the same problems we have. Not at all. They are so totally not the same as us. So telling. This is so telling. Yep, his name. Oh, yeah, the name player in this game. Uh, who is in charge of the Black Lives Matter? Who is one of their supporters? Is that's not George Soroso? Is it? Because I can't think of the guy's name because he I did something on him too on my was it my Periscope? I think it was my Periscope. I'm not sure. And now see, it's funny. Now Biggie made the song "More Money, More Problems." With them, it's more money, the more skeletons you find in their closet because of what they do. Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay, yeah, he funded them. Yeah, unfortunately, they all have they all have bad. They're this. Oh, goodness, somebody tried to call me. Um, yeah, they. I hope this didn't kick me out. Yeah, their skeletons are far more perverted than ours could ever be. But Wow. Wow. Well, we have gone from the sending kids to school, what to do, what not to do, what are we gonna do, to sending them to college, to substitute teachers, to Bill Gates. I am I am so appreciative. This is the I didn't to being anybody on here. I just expected to do the little things for the questions to ask and people to just, come. Well, I didn't. I just wanted people to just see the video so they'll be aware and have the questions to just think about and to talk amongst, their friends, their family, whatever. I never expected anybody to come on here. I also wanted to test it, you know, the live to see if I could do it, see how the sound was and everything, and do a longer test than what I did the other night. So, and I'm very appreciative to Gaia, Nurse Vaughn, and Sean Sandridge. I think we lost her, but she was on here. I'm very appreciative, and I'm appreciative for I'm just appreciative for her. She um, she helped me out a lot this weekend with her words. So I am very appreciative for that. Um, so look like eventually you'll see Bill Gates from me, the Bill Gates video. And I really appreciate everybody. Nurse Vaughn. Nurse Vaughn always has something, always something. But yes, please share these questions. If you have school age children or you know someone with school age children, please share. At the beginning of the video, I go over, all the questions. And I just want to thank everyone who has stopped by. I appreciate you all and enjoy your night. Be careful, take precautions, take the necessary precautions when you're out there around people. And you all have a good night. This is the Empress, Blu-Lotus. Oye, Ma'at. Good night, all. Now I got to figure out how to get out of here.